And welcome to another episode of Paradise Living with Melissa Ann. I am Joel Wilson, the digital guru in freezing Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where the mercury is going to go all the way up to 52 degrees today. And I have told Melissa I am tired of this and I'm going to be moving to the great state of Florida very soon if this keeps
Yeah,
up.
there we go. There we go. Hey, everybody. It's really a pleasure today to have a very special guest with us. We've got Andrew from State Insurance with us, and we're going to be doing a very informational podcast. We've focused on paradise living and all things that kind of add to that opportunity to live that way. So we've got a really great program today, and we're going to be sharing some of those. So, Andrew, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, it's a great experience. So just to kind of kick this off a little bit, and by the way, honey, it's 73 here, so sorry.
Love you too.
I know, thank you. And it's gonna probably be in the 80s, so there you go. But I got the opportunity to meet Andrew from my own personal experience. And what I like to do is I like to bring people on and just give them a thank you for such great service and what they've done for me. It gives the our audience is an opportunity to get to know these really special guests. We've done things with Whitney and John and some of the other people that are on these podcasts. So I really wanted to feature Andrew and State Insurance and share a little bit about that. So Andrew, can you kind of give us a little bit of an introduction and where you came from? We know you're located in Naples, and we're doing a lot of work that way. So can you just kind of give everybody a little hi and here's who I am? Give us the elevator speech.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you so much. So my name's Andrew Palumbo. I work for State Insurance USA. We're a local insurance agency here in Southwest Florida. Been in business for over 12 years. Local insurance agency. Everyone works and lives in this area. My office is on Fifth Avenue in Naples.
Yeah,
Um,
with us, with
yep.
South State.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. A great location, great people to work with. So super excited to be in this location. But I can write insurance all over the great state of Florida. We have all the carriers. That's probably one of the best things about working with an agency is we have contracts with all the top carriers. So price-wise and more importantly, situational-wise, we have the carrier for all types of risks. Very competitive
Yeah, you sure do,
price-wise.
Andrew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, thank you. But yeah, we have the
Yeah.
carriers for every kind of risk and every type of situation. What really sets us apart is the amount of departments that we have. We have a customer care department, a billing department, remarketing department, new business department, along with marketing on top of all that. So people's policies don't slip through the cracks. We're always on top of it. We let the clients know what is needed, what needs to get done. We don't let policies just get canceled. We stay on top of them. We try to figure out how we can fix the situation and make sure that everybody is secured,
Yeah.
and with competitive pricing.
Yeah, so from my experience, what I had looked into, I was shopping, and I think a lot of the listeners, if they're watching some of our podcasts, they'll see the property that I have on the water, and you'll see that coming through. And I started shopping for insurance, and I was going with some of the really super big carriers, and I was trying to compare the competitive rates and the coverage, obviously, because if you got awful coverage and then you have competitive rates, it really doesn't matter. You're still out in the ballpark. But I had a waterfront property, and I was doing some shopping, and I was really trying to find something that was competitive that would work for me. And I kind of stumbled onto Andrew, even though he's in our offices, because one of the people that were interested in my personal property coming to buy it had actually kind of looked into what the coverage was for that house. And I thought, well, that's really great. Let me get a hold of Andrew and find out what he can do for me personally. And that's how we kind of got started. So I can attest to the customer service. I can attest to, all your different departments. But what I really wanted to learn from you, Andrew, is what brought you to insurance? What attracts you to doing this kind of work? What kind of drives you with it?
Yeah, I think the thing that really drives me and makes me excited about what I do is honestly helping people save money, especially in this economy. Everybody is trying to save
Hmm.
money, but also I want people to be well protected. And, 90% of people, their biggest investment is going to be their home. So we need to have that secured, properly insured, but also at competitive pricing. Um, the biggest thing that I see in what I do is a lot of people they're just going straight for the price. But there's ways that you can get a good price while also making sure that your home is, sufficiently secured and insured. And that's really where it comes down to the educational piece and making sure the client knows what they need to have and what they really don't need to have while also getting a good price.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think you really helped me with was, going back and forth, that property's waterfront. We have a dock. I got a swimming pool. I mean, I have all the messes that are included into something that's kind of interesting to insure. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, a condo, and it might be easier to insure because you don't have to worry about all those things, but especially with what's going on with the hurricanes, I was worried. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to find something I could afford. And you stepped right into that. And I was looking at all these different carriers really. I mean, I'm smart enough with what I do for a living, and this was a really great find in helping my clients, because now I know how hard you work, and I know what you're finessing through, and the underwriters and all this other stuff. That's even on the real estate side for me. My job is to help people through it. To keep myself out of trouble, I'll normally give people three different people to go work with in terms of insurance or loans or whatever, because I don't want to get stuck with, you know, pandering to one particular person. But to keep myself out of trouble. But the thing is I think it's really important. It was important to me to say, hey, help me understand what the deck page is doing and what my coverages are, and is it replacement costs or is it not. And I mean, Joe, even with your condo, you've kind of had that same type of situation, right?
Yes, I have. I have a quick question. Is there a difference? And obviously there should be. If your place is on the beach or your place is like 10 miles inland, there's going to be different coverages, and you basically you don't do a blanket, this is what you need. You take each individual and create a custom plan for them, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I like to talk to the client and figure out, what is important to them. Because sometimes with clients, especially when it's like, say, a rental property, they don't want a lot of personal property. They don't
Mhm.
want certain coverages. They want the price to make sense for them whilst, protecting their investment, but also so that they can also make money while renting it out. But then to your question, say it was someone's primary residence, then personal property and coverages like that are much more important because that's their only house and that's where all their belongings will be.
What, Andrew, what do you see as like the from these hurricanes? And I know Joel went through, what was it? Was it Helene or Milton or both? It was both,
Yes,
right?
but yeah, both.
Yeah. Yeah, because Ian was the big one for us. But you know, what are you seeing as a lot of the challenges? Obviously, carriers were pulling in and out and whatnot, but what are you really seeing?
So that situation, unfortunately, a lot of people were with a carrier called UPC and other carriers that weren't Florida-based insurance carriers. And unfortunately, what happened was some of those carriers went bankrupt, and that left, a lot of people holding the bill and then having to try to get lawyers and then try to fight these insurance carriers to get their money. The good thing is when you go with a company that's Florida backed, it's 100% guaranteed that no matter what happens, your home will get restored and you will get your home back in one piece. A lot of
How does
people
that work
don't.
if it's Florida based, Andrew? How does that work if it's Florida based?
So what happens is when you buy these policies, you'll be able to see in the premium, somewhere in the premium, it will show that it's Florida backed and they'll put a small fee into your policy. Typically it's around 20 to $30. And what they do is they collect all these premiums and they pool it together and that will help them pay out these claims. When they have catastrophes. The problem is when you go with carriers that aren't Florida backed, you won't see that fee because those carriers aren't collecting a fee and pooling it all together for such situations. And
How much do people know that? I mean, I
I,
I have
yeah,
never heard that before.
I don't feel like most people know that. You'll be able to see it when you're with a company that's backed by the Florida Guarantee Act. You'll see it in the premium. And like I
So it
said,
is an act. It's a Florida. Who put the Florida Guarantee Act together? Was it something that DeSantis
I
did, or
yeah, I
what
don't
was
know
it?
if it might have been Ron DeSantis. I'd have to look up that, but it was a new legislative law that
Awesome.
went into place. But yeah, like for instance, the company I wrote you with, Frontline, you'll be able to see on your premium in the breakdown, there's a small fee, and that's what that goes towards.
That's really kind of cool. I mean, it's
Yeah.
something that when people listen to this podcast, they're really going to be like, "Wow, that gives me a little bit more peace of mind." I didn't even know
Yeah,
that. That's really
because
cool.
like take California for example with the horrendous wildfires that happened
Hmm.
within the year. A lot of people were with State Farm, and State Farm right before the fires, they dropped a lot of people's insurance. Well, State
Yeah,
Farm is
yeah,
not a Florida that take California for an example. They're not a California-based company. So a lot of those people in California are going to have a very tough situation. They're going to have to lawyer up, and I don't really know who they'll be able to sue to try to get their houses rebuilt.
yeah. Well, we could give a comment on the new scum part, but Joel, this isn't the right podcast for that.
No, that's my 130 podcast
No,
today.
exactly. But yeah, that's why it's so important who you go with. A lot of people who do come down from up north, they like to be with companies like State Farm. But to be honest, sometimes it's really not in your best interest. And especially those kind of carriers, they really are kind of staying away from Florida, to be honest, with home insurance.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that I see is in your line of work, Andrew, is really the educational part. You're asking a lot of questions, finding out really what's driving the policy and why it's needed, and then kind of steering him in the right direction. And I think that's really, really important.
Do you find people who are bargain shopping, which is this is something that you should not be bargain shopping for. This is like you had said, is probably going to be one of your biggest
No.
purchases. You better protect it for everything you've got. And do you find people who are saying, well, you're just too much and they don't understand what you're doing, the coverage that you can do and everything that obviously being a Florida-based company.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people do, which I completely understand because I've lived up north and lived down south. And so I do understand that insurance up north is, probably half the cost. But the problem is we have way more perils that you just don't see up north. We have hurricanes every year, flooding, etc. And so to be honest, a lot of people do shop based off of price. So what I do to counteract that is I always give clients what I recommend and then I give them another quote that I know would be more appealing price wise. It's not something that, I want them to go with, but, obviously I still want to get the sell and give them insurance. But to be honest, a lot of people do go off of price. So I do try to at least educate them and let them know why I'm showing them a quote with a higher price, but with better coverage.
Hmm.
Because you might save $1,000 today, but unfortunately, next year, there might be a very big hurricane and you saved $1,000 for really what? Because then you're going to have to now come out of pocket.
Yeah, the biggest piece of that, to kind of piggyback off of it is the percentages of what hurricanes are really all about. Out of pocket might be 9,000, it might be 20,000. And if you really don't have a huge big pool or savings of that, you really have to think about, what that means for you too.
I do have to ask a real quick question here. We had talked off the air right before the podcast. You spent some time in Sweden. How long were you over there?
Yeah, I was in Sweden for 7 years. I went there straight after college.
And you were playing soccer, right?
Yep, I was playing professional soccer. That was my career and my
Oh
job.
my gosh, Andrew, I didn't even know that. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's been my whole entire life. So it was tough to give up, but now I do some refereeing on the weekends just to get back to the game a little bit.
Oh, so
Are you
you're the
doing
one
anything with
pulling out
the
the
with the
yellow
high
card because you
schoolers?
got so many yellow cards when you were playing. You're the one getting to dish it out now, right?
To be honest, the crazy part is actually I try to resist with the yellows and the reds because I know how it was when I played, but let me tell you, the kids out there, they definitely know what they're saying, and they come with some funny expressions. But yeah, it's fun to be out there. I wish I could help with high school soccer, especially my alma mater, Bishop Verot. But unfortunately, it's just not working out time-wise right now.
Yeah, probably really super busy. How'd you end up getting to Sweden? They were the ones that picked you up out of college.
So how it worked is I played Division One soccer for Northern Illinois University, and as my time was coming up senior year, I got an agent in Chicago, and all his contacts happened to be in Scandinavia. So I went to Norway and Sweden that summer with probably 20 other guys with the same dreams, and we just did trials for about 2 months up and down, and finally I got signed to a team called Vara, and that's how I started my journey.
So Sweden is Dutch, isn't it? Or what's the language there?
It's Swedish.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
svenska. Jag kan
So
prata
how much
Yes.
svenska.
Swedish did you pick up that you can, are you passable speaking it now?
A little bit. I was a lot better when I lived there, obviously because it was day to day, and so I was able to, speak it a lot more. But I still keep in contact with a lot of my old teammates, and we speak in just the beginning part, like, "Hey, how you doing?" and simple stuff like that.
Does Swedish
Yeah, that's
do they
really
have
cool.
different divisions like they do in the EPL and La Liga where you have relegation and promotion?
Yeah, exactly. So they have 9 divisions in Sweden. Um, and so yeah, I made it to the third highest level. But I loved it. The relegation promotion system's incredible. My second year in Sweden, I was actually with the team that got promoted from Division Two to Division One. And I mean it's just amazing. We did like a bus around the city. Um, that night, the biggest nightclub in the city shut it down just for us. And yeah, it was just amazing.
There's a lot the people don't realize
That's
there's a
really
lot of
cool.
money, a differential in money between Division Two, Division One, or Division Three, Division Two, or the backwards that you get relegated, that hurts a team. That tremendously that hurts a team. People you don't want to play for a team that's been relegated. They're going to leave and try to go to a team that's in Division Two or Division One. So
Yeah, no, exactly. Depending which divisions you get promoted to, you get a massive bonus from the federation of that country. And then that goes towards obviously buying better players and maybe, redoing your training ground infrastructure. And then that just ultimately will attract more players.
well,
Wow, that's really cool, Andrew. That's
Yeah.
why you're so good at what you do. Your attention to detail, following up. I really appreciated what you did as far as the service for me. And
Oh,
mine
thank
was
you.
kind of a pain. We'd had a couple of Ian things that went on, and not to disclose a whole bunch of crazy stuff, but we kind of went there wasn't any claims. We had something that was looked at, and Andrew fought really, really hard for me to get the best coverage and the best rate, and I really, really appreciated it. It was awesome. I feel really confident that if I was working with other buyers, he'd be somebody that definitely that I would want working with my clients for sure. So
No, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, every client I take it very seriously. And I don't like to take no for an answer. My whole life has been competition, so unfortunately sometimes I do have to go back and forth with underwriters, but the most important thing is I just want to get my clients good insurance at a great price. And yeah, sometimes you have to just go back and forth with the underwriting, but that's just part of the game.
yep, sure is.
well, as we wrap this up, tell my listeners how they can get in touch with you, Andrew.
If everybody wants to get any quotes for home flood auto liability, my email is andrew at stateinsuranceUSA.com, or my direct number is 239-766-7787.
I love it. We're going to wrap this one up from cold, chilly Myrtle Beach, and you know what? I think the Tampa Naples area is calling me every day. I'm hearing move down, move down.
Yes, it sure is. We'd love
Always
we'd love to
welcome.
have you here. Yeah, we'd love to
This
have you here.
this is Joel Wilson. I will see you at the next tee box.
Yeah, thanks, Joel. See
Thank
ya.
you guys.